There we go. Hello, everyone. I'm David here, and welcome to the next episode of the 3000 Hanos here for tonight. It is the 14th of January, 2026, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time here on this Wednesday night. Hope everybody's doing well. Hello there, Jeffrey. And tonight's episode, I am back here feeling healthy. I still have the cough a little bit, but with dealing with the flu all last week, it was something that Um, I don't wish anybody having the flu, and I am back healthy and ready to rock and roll here for these next episodes of the 3000 Hangouts here on the Network 3000 YouTube channel. So, this, before I have my guest in, his name is Chris, here, who is a Boston sports fan like myself. Me just going over, some sporting news that has happened this past week that we'll touch base on our liking and everything else in between. Um, and he's also going to be helping me with the hockey stuff, whatever big hockey news that's happened in this past week as well. We'll get into that because with me, honestly, I haven't been watching much sports, this year because of my flu and also my personal matters. I haven't been watching that, much sports as well since baseball season ended with the World Series with an incredible Game 7. But how is everybody doing in the live chat tonight? And I'm gonna personally thank Jesse and Joey and Charlie for filling in for me this past week as well while I was going through the flu. And and I'm doing better, physically and mentally, even though like unfortunately, there's been a lot of crazy stuff happening in our community. But I'm all good, with myself. Like I'm doing well mentally. Like you know, like to me, there's one thing about me that people should know. I'm not going to take sides of any situation. I am not going to pick sides in regards to, for instance, I'm not going to take sides regarding, you know, if there's like any drama going on. I'm not going to pick sides or whatever. I'm just going to be myself. I'm gonna step, just continue on what I'm doing in life. If that is making you guys entertained, and we should all be there for one another, no matter what's going on, and we should be there to make each other happy because with me personally, which side are you? Left eye or right eye? Middle eye. But with me personally, like I said, I'm gonna my goal for the rest of the year in 2026 is to number one to focus on myself, not worrying about other situations going out there in our community or whatever. I'm not gonna pick any sides or whatever because it's not necessary, and I'm just gonna be focused on my goal is getting to 2,000 subscribers here on my YouTube channel. Hopefully by the end of this year for real this time, which are almost there. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the channel out there to everyone. And that's gonna be it for the rest of you know my time here for in 2026 and beyond. So we have a great stuff in store for you tonight. Like I said, I'll be having my friend Chris on talking sports and a little bit of culture as well, and then yeah, I'll be having some games of the week this week and Day or No Deal, which will be coming up in about around the time of 9:30, 9:45 p.m. ish, for that half hour. So yeah, without further ado, let's bring in person, everybody. How you doing, Chris?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So for those who don't know who Chris is, tell the people who you are as I get this up.
Yeah, so I do a lot in the space of hockey. I've been in various forms of doing hockey shows for about 7 years now. And I've recently partnered with Rinkside Advising and Scouting and have started doing further work uh, just to be more involved on the connection side. And,
Yeah.
it's been going well.
And what type of hockey shows you were doing in the past?
As far as like coverage wise, I've been focused mostly on the Bruins and the NHL. But this year I've
Mhm.
been diving a lot more into the AHL, OHL, QMJHL, various other lower junior leagues as well. So
Very cool. Um, it, why not talk about hockey right away? What is your thoughts about the Bruins so far this season? Because a lot of people thought they were going to be in down low. What is your thoughts on their progress? Because we saw that blowout game versus the Rangers recently. Uh, are they getting there? To the right um, game of Bruins hockey that we all know and love with, or are they still in the middle of progress?
yeah, certainly great question. Coming into the year, there were certainly, like you said, a lot of people were low on the team. Um,
Yeah,
I think that was a mistake for a lot of people. It was just a matter of them, and obviously the start of the season, not the first winning streak, but the first losing streak that they had really kind of had those doubts creep back into people. But what went unnoticed for a lot of people was their lack of practice. That was something
yeah,
that really affected this team. They were starting a brand new offensive and defensive scheme under a brand new head coach in Marco Sturm. And
mhm,
even some of the guys who weren't entering their first year with the team, they're all of them went through major coaching changes last year. Last year was a season where you just wanted to flush it away and move
yeah,
forward. Some guys were able to do that quicker than others, but I think a guy like Nikita Zadorov, you've really seen that growth from him. And when you have other guys playing physical, Mikey Esimont has been in and out of the lineup, but he brings the physicality and speed that they're looking for. Sean Corrality, Tanner Janot, a lot of flack on the contract that he signed, but he's been worth every bit of that contract. He's been consistent for him. He's not a big point producer, but he's starting to get back up to where he can be.
mhm,
They've had to deal with significant injuries though. That can't be
yeah,
understated. Hampus Lindholm back on the shelf right now. Jordan Harris only played 5 games. They've been through 10 or 11 defensemen already this season, and their depth on the right side is very lacking, and that's showing. So they've
yeah,
got some guys in the system that you can really keep an eye on, but none of them are going to be ready for right now. So that's where, are they prepared to make a move and that sort of thing. But right now,
mhm,
patience is probably their best friend.
yep,
The Atlantic specifically, but the whole Eastern Conference is tight, and it bodes well for them. They're going to be in the race through it all, but until you really get close to crunch time, you don't have to make a decision. Don't make a decision until you have to.
I agree. And and their coach as well. I've seen his speeches, and they're pretty. There's something to pay attention to because if you have a coach like that who just encourages the players to play for each other and all that good stuff. That is winning hockey. We see what Mike Vrabel is doing right now with the Patriots. We'll get to that in just a bit. But if you have a coach like that really cares about his players, that is how you play good hockey and you can get to the playoffs. In my opinion, there, Chris.
Yeah, it's something else that goes understated, and it's funny that you mentioned Mike Vrabel, but he and Sturm have two things have one of the same things in common. In a winning environment, they both played for the
Yeah.
teams that they're now coaching. So they know what fans of those teams expect, why they expect them, and they know how to expect players to get there because they were a player there. So
Hmm.
you look at a guy like Marco Sturm. He was brought in for fan favorite Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
There's not even Mike Vrabel can say that. Um, and
Hmm.
so he knows what it's like to have to help turn the culture around, which he was doing with guys like Zdeno Chara, who's now back in the front office. Patrice Bergeron was a big part of that. He's working with the team, doesn't have a specific title or anything like that, but obviously they have a spot open for him and they'll find him
Yeah.
one. And then you've got other former teammates like Adam McQuaid in player development.
Hmm.
Chris Kelly's on the bench. So those are all guys that they're familiar with. And obviously he brought in Steve Spott in the offseason to help the power play, which was a major source of pain for them last year. And that's really helped. Steve Spott is one of the best power play guys in the league.
Yeah,
and the fact that Sturm was able to snag him and bring him in really shows.
100%. Let's get to the Patriots right now. So I know you're a big Patriots fan as well.
I've been
Uh,
watching him a little bit here and there.
yeah, what do you think that maybe they could get to a conference championship game? With the way Drake May has been playing, and just they have something special going on you know in that locker room, or
Yeah,
however
I
you
think
call it.
the bigger concern that I have right now is Christian Gonzalez on the defensive end. He's turned into an elite shutdown corner to the point where they're not even testing him. Teams know what he can do, and teams don't want to throw against him. Even as good as their top receivers are, he can shut them all down and not and basically shut down an entire half of the field. We've seen what a defense with Mike Vrabel on it can do with a corner that's that shut down.
Yeah.
We've seen it with when it was Ty Law. We've seen it when it was Asante Samuel. We've seen it with a few others. And when you can shut down an entire half of the field, take away the other team's best opposition with just one guy, that frees you up for your double teams and your sacks and your better pressures and things like that. So, it's hopefully it's not a significant loss. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup or not for Sunday's game. We'll have to see, but
Yeah.
it sounds like one of their better receivers might be out too. The name's escaping me, but
Hmm.
hopefully, if you don't have Gonzalez, then it's a 1-for-1, and you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and I mean Houston Texans, like their defense is really good, and that's the one thing I'm afraid of. Stopping Drake May down. Uh, hopefully we could beat Houston and go into the next round, but it's going to take a lot of you know guts. When it comes to the Patriots, and hopefully they can move on.
Yeah, one thing that we've seen from May though is he's learning how to adapt within the game. So,
Yeah.
if he doesn't have the deep downfield passes, he's not afraid to do those check downs and find the tight ends on short routes and just, play that dink and dunk game and get them 5, 6, 7, 10 yards at a time.
Hmm.
And that is what will help open up the long game. And obviously they've got two stud running backs right now in Stevenson and Henderson, and all he has to do is keep finding those guys.
100%. Um, and also I gotta say this about Drake May. Like I was a couple of friends today earlier this afternoon, and they think that Drake May is better than Tom Brady. And I've seen people on social media say that Drake May is better than Tom Brady. And I am just like, um, how many Super Bowls that Tom Brady has won? And also, let's not forget, um, this is only Drake May's second year, and he has blown a couple of big leads in his first couple of years here. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, in some ways, he's definitely more athletic. He's a
Yeah.
better runner than Brady ever was, and that's not saying much. Brady was the Manning style, stay in the pocket passer, and expect the pocket to block for you. But he was also very cerebral, so his advantage was always in the head, and he's always talked about that. How knowing the game, knowing the defenses, and being able to read them and make adjustments is what made him so good. And Drake May seems like the kind of guy who can learn some of that stuff, and if he can, then great. He has a chance to. I mean, he's still, like you said, he's in his second season. Like, he's a long way
Yeah.
away from being compared to any other quarterback, let alone Tom Brady, who's got 7 rings under his belt. Like, let the guy get
Yeah.
one before you even worry about the seventh or eighth. I mean, people were
Yeah.
comparing Patrick Mahomes to him before he won his first one, and okay, now
Yeah.
he's got 3. We can at least somewhat have a discussion as to, are his first 3 better than Brady's first or second 3, and there's a little bit more comparable there. But
Mhm.
until someone starts approaching 5 or 6, can you really have that kind of discussion? Yeah, you have attributes that might be able to compete, but at the end of the day, you don't have the results until you have the results. And
Mhm.
is he better at some things? Of course, but even during his playing days, there was always a quarterback who was better at something. It was just a
Yeah.
matter of who was better at winning. That would be no one.
Yep. And you know, and it like I think to me, Mike Vrabel helped Drake May a lot as well. I mean, he actually, with the way that Mike Vrabel, at the end of the games, hugging every player, after a win, that shows you that that is a real coach right there. That is, how you win football games. Is actually looking forward to something like that at the end of the game, and tells you he cares about every single player, and that is leadership. We need that type of leadership here in Foxborough. You know.
Yeah, and he's also getting a lot of the X's and O's work that he needs from a guy like Josh McDaniels.
Mhm.
Obviously, Tom Brady had legends: Romeo Crennel, Charlie Weiss, the coordinators in his first three rings, and that doesn't go unnoticed. But Josh McDaniels was crucial in helping him get the next ones. And as the game has evolved, Josh McDaniels has been able to continue to be a dominant offensive coordinator. Not such a great head coach, but I think
Mhm.
the experience that he has as a head coach will help him grow as an offensive coordinator, and I'm sure he'll get
Yeah.
another shot. They always do. But he also seems to be quite content with his job in Foxborough. He loves it in the area. He loves where he lives. He loves the team. He knows the team. Some, as they say, can I swear on here?
Yeah. Just not this is not offensive.
I was gonna say, as the saying goes, "Don't fuck with happy."
Yeah, and,
He's
re- and
happy,
and
so
please respect each other as well. Whoever your coach is, respect the coach, respect the quarterback. It's just that simple. That's how you win games. Um, and let's get to some other football news that shocked the NFL world a couple of days ago. Mike Tomlin has stepped down from being the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has lost 7 straight playoff losses. That is 7 years in a row where in the first round of a playoff um, season that he has lost. The first round. It's like a one and done type of situation. He won the Super Bowl in his second year, but hasn't been close since. Aren't you surprised, or aren't you surprised? To me, I'm not surprised because even though he has had a winning season every single year, the thing is, he has not made it close to the Super Bowl since his second year as coach.
I mean, there's really two ways to look at it. Obviously, there's rumors that this was a move that came from them trying to pressure him out versus the fact that he stepped away. We'll never
Yeah,
know what really is going on behind
yeah,
those closed doors, but if he's walking away completely on his own volition, I can't really say I blame him because even
mhm,
though he won that first Super Bowl so early on in his tenure, management hasn't done much to help him get a roster that can compete in the playoffs. And he's really had to drag that team to winning records over the course of his, what was it, 19 years as tenure.
yeah,
So, if you're not getting the help from your general manager, it looks like it's your fault as a coach. But I mean, they went and they got Aaron Rodgers to be a starting quarterback for this year. That's how desperate they were for trying to build
mhm,
their roster. And I'm not an Aaron Rodgers hater, but the guy's 40 years old. Like,
yeah,
you know, there's a reason he was available for them to sign. And at the end of the day, he clearly wasn't the last one who was available for. I mean, they could have gone out and gotten Philip Rivers out of retirement at the beginning of the season and probably gotten the same results. So, like,
yeah,
there's a reason why 40-year-olds, even Brady barely played into his 40s. 45-year-old quarterbacks don't play in the
yeah,
NFL for a reason. They're not
yeah,
physically able to, and he's lost a lot of the deep ball that he's been able to live off of. He's gotten lucky on a lot of those over the course of his career, and that's the guy they hitched their wagon to. So
mhm,
it just, you know, uh, if he walked away on his own, I can't really say I blame him. He's not exactly getting support from management to build a better
yeah,
roster, and if they forced him out, then it's probably a blessing in disguise for him because at the end of the day, he's not the reason that they were getting over the hump, and that
yeah,
just means to me that the GM is worried about his job now.
100%. Let's get to some Boston Celtics news. Well, not really news, but um, hot take. I think if Jay Brown stays healthy for the rest of the year and keeps rolling like this, I think he should be the MVP for this year because Jalen Brown has literally put this team on his back. Despite all the referees wanting to go at him, he still put his team to a spot where they are in a playoff, race and, type of team where everybody thought they were not going to be a playoff team at all this year because of Jason Tatum out for the year. People are saying, oh, he could come back in January. There's still nothing to see yet out of JT, far as I know, except for him, recovering from his injury. What do you agree with me that Jaylen Brown should be the MVP when it's all said and done? Once we get closer to the end of the second half and everything.
I mean, I'm sure he'll be in the mix. I really haven't watched enough of the Celtics to say whether, or let alone the rest of the league to say whether or not he should be in that conversation or not. But the fact that they're still in the hunt without, um,
18.
uh, yeah, without Jason Tatum there. I mean, it certainly is. If he can keep them in the mix until they get Tatum back, then there's certainly a conversation to be had for it. So
Yeah, we'll see what happens because uh, it'll be nice to get that second title since 2024 as for the championship in the NBA. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, but uh, speaking of uh, the Celtics and the Bruins, um, do you have a favorite player on both the Boston Bruins and like a current favorite player on the Bruins and the Celtics right now in this season?
I mean, as far as like a fan favorite, I don't know if I'd really have. I mean, I'm rooting for the players to be successful. It's a little bit of a
Mhm.
different view than most people. I
Yeah,
really am a fan of the way that Fraser Minton plays the game. He's
mhm.
he's really starting to find his offensive footing, which is great to see.
Yeah,
The way that Jeremy Swayman is finding his groove in the crease again is also fantastic to see. When he's on, he's one of the best in the world, and
yeah.
he
That's why
alone
they
can.
signed him. That's why they signed him to that big contract.
Yeah, and he's living up to it. Last year, he kind of put a little extra pressure on himself with some of his offseason comments and work and whatnot. But the fact that he's been able to shut out that noise and find his game again for this season, he's pushing for starting time in the Olympics is where he's that his ceiling is there. But to that same end, the fact that a guy like Jonas Corposalo is able to keep his head down and he's put together his most recent performances, the shutout, the 1 goal game.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of detractors in and around him specifically. And, you got to
mhm,
admire a guy who can keep his head down through a rough month and turn the page the
yeah,
way he has, put up the last couple games that he has. And, he's going to play an important part. For this team down the stretch, they're looking to make the playoffs. Ownership has made it known, and to see how some of these guys grind it out. Pavel Zacha is another one who is constantly doing his role, and his role continuously expands.
yeah,
Same description would apply for Murat Husnudinov. The guy started out in and out of the lineup, and every time he's responded, he's using his speed. He's not a major point producer, but the way he can affect the lineup by being in it consistently is showing. So,
yeah.
there's a lot of guys that you'd like to see a little more from as well. It'll be an interesting learning curve for some of these guys if they decide to keep them.
Who, what team in the Olympics do you think is the biggest threat to you?
The biggest threat to the United States would. Hmm,
Yeah,
Um, I mean, it depends. Obviously, you've got the immediate response of Canada, just because they're going to be one of the
yeah,
favorites coming in, and obviously we saw the U.S. lose to them in last year's Four Nation Face-Off. But um, the Olympics is going to have a lot of teams that I think will shock the average fan.
Mhm.
Sweden and Finland certainly come to mind in that same group. There's a reason they were picked for that Four Nation Face-Off tournament last year. They're very underrated in an Olympic tournament as well. But even you got to keep an eye out for a team like Team Czech. They're up and coming, and they're starting to get a lot of belief. They're very competitive in the World Juniors as well, and that's
Yeah.
going to carry over. They've got an all-world goal scorer in David Pastrnak. They've got a goaltender who's playing on a whole nother level in Lucas Dostal. He'll be their starter. Um, it's they've got some depth in there as well.
Mhm.
So they're definitely going to be. Now, are they a favorite to win gold? Probably not, but at the same time, if you're a betting person, you want to find some of the better long shot odds. You
Yeah.
know, they're going to be probably top five. Certainly top 10 in that favorite category, but your dollar is going to go a lot further with a team like Team Czechia than it would on Canada because Canada is going to be such a heavy favorite. So
Yeah. It is, and um, we all saw from the Four Nations face off, which I absolutely loved watching that. It brought back hockey the way it used to be hockey, old fashioned hockey. I truly believe, So when is the next time they're doing the Four Nations face off? You think?
the Four Nations Face-Off was a one-off tournament as part of a way to kind of get the players back into the Olympic mix. They're
Mhm.
they're gonna try to continue to do similar stuff, but nothing's been officially announced because
Okay.
they want to get the World Cup of hockey going again.
Yeah.
But they need to alternate that because now the plan is to continually have NHL players in the Olympics. So if you've got that every 4 years, and they're going to try to do something every other 4 year cycle so that every two
Yeah.
years there's some sort of major world event with the best talent like that. Um, and then, of course, you've got the other years alternating in there as well. Years essentially 1 and 3. Are
Hmm.
they going to do an all-star game or some other all-star event?
Yeah.
Those were always great for the local markets, but it was always a detractor on TV. But
Hmm.
it's going to be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah. Because we all know that the WBC baseball that's coming up this year is usually like I guess every 3 years now it's going to be, because the last one was in 2023. So I think it's going to be every 3 years of the WBC, which I'm very excited for. I don't know if they're going to use the pitch clock or not, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I really doubt it. Um, but it's very cool when these type of sports do stuff like that. I don't remember ever seeing basketball do something like this. When it comes to across the country, you know, um,
I don't think it
type.
has the same international reach.
Yeah.
It's very United States heavy.
Mhm.
There's a reason why. I mean, go look at the MLS All Star numbers compared to MLB's All
Yeah.
Star numbers compared to even the NFL Pro Bowl probably gets more views, and they
Yep.
don't try, but the Pro Bowl has at least tried to do various things, whether it's less
Yeah.
contact. I mean, they're not afraid to change things up, and people don't like every bit of it, but there's
Mhm.
certain things that people want to see. Which quarterback wins the accuracy contest? Which quarterback
Yeah.
throws the deep ball the best? All that stuff is, it's the NFL. It's king. It's always going to be king. But at least they're willing to
Mhm.
try change.
100%. We're gonna take a little half-hour break here as for us talking, but it's time to I'll put it backstage here. It's now time for us to play some games. So games here, starting with this first one right after this commercial break.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? Then welcome to the Network 3000. We've got you covered with all of the variety of content such as our weekly programs like Chillin' 3000 Hangouts, the Popcorn Panel Podcast, Sports Show Standing Stand, Breaking the Chains, and more. We also got the game shows, gameplays, play-by-play reactions, blogs, and other fun stuff that you can only get here on the Network 3000. Subscribe today.
Welcome to the weakest link. Any of the 5 people in the studio here tonight could win up to $50,000. If they want to win that money, they'll have to work as a team. But 4 of them will leave with nothing, as round by round we eliminate the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
I'm Dante Pittman. I am 24 years old. I'm originally from Tallahassee, Florida, now reside in Eugene, Oregon. I'm an online content creator.
I'm Alex Scholl. I am 35, originally from St. Augustine, Florida, now currently in Chesney, South Carolina, and I am a YouTuber.
I'm Nicholas. I'm 22. I reside in Jersey, but I'm going to finish my graduate sessions in Muhlenberg in Pennsylvania, and I love old game shows and creating YouTube videos of old commercials.
I'm Daniel Edward Lewis. I live in St. Paul, Missouri. I'm 24. And I'm sorry.
And I'm David St. Dennis. I'm 22 years old from Massachusetts. And let's get this game going.
Now the rules. In each round, the aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your $10,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way to reach that target is to create a chain of 5 correct answers. Get your question wrong, you break the chain and lose all of the money in that chain. But if you say bank before your question is asked, that money is safe, but you'll have to start a brand new chain. Remember guys, at the end of the round, only money that has been banked can be carried over to the next round. The first round lasts for 1 minute and 45 seconds, and the order you're playing in was randomly selected before the game. We'll start with the player in the first position. That's Dante. Let's play the weakest link. First question is worth $250. Start the clock. Dante, for 31 months, Sarah Palin served as governor of what state?
Repeat the question, please.
For 31 months, Sarah Palin served as governor of what state?
Tennessee.
Alaska. Alex, what is the name of a Canadian web series about the lives of Halo action figures?
Pass.
Arby and the Chief. Nicholas, what word for an espresso drink comes from the name of an order of monks?
Mocha?
Cappuccino. Sophie, in math, what is 11 times 14?
Bank.
Is that your answer?
That's 154.
That's correct. David, in the 2000s, Chuck Woolery hosted which game show about solving 5-letter words?
Lingo.
That's correct. Dante.
End the show.
Dante, which compass direction shares its name with a movie starring Elijah Wood?
West.
North. Alex, how many times has Jerry Seinfeld been nominated for an Academy Award?
3.
0. Nicholas, in history, which Roosevelt was elected president as a Republican?
Pass.
Theodore Roosevelt. Sophie, what singer was the first winner of American Idol?
How am I supposed to know this?
No, Kelly Clarkson. David, what financial company used the tagline, "It's my money and I need it now"?
Pass.
J.G. Wentworth. Dante, what CBS late night talk show host was formerly a correspondent on The Daily Show? Time is up. Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert.
Fucking hell.
Well, you banked nothing. Fine, we'll take that money.
See, I wonder why.
Round, but one of you will not go there. Who spends all their time watching David's videos when they should be outside touching grass?
You.
Time to vote off the weakest link. Statistically, Dante is the weakest link. But surprisingly, David, of all people, is the strongest link. How will that affect the votes at this early stage of the game? Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Sophie.
Oh.
That's a receipt.
Dante.
Dante.
I figured that.
I voted for him just to get him the hell out of here because he's sick. I voted for if it shows up, both of them.
Okay.
Dang it.
Now, Sophie, it says on my information sheet that you used to host a show right here on the network called Danny's Den.
No, actually, I was pretend host, so to speak.
You're a pretend host.
Yeah.
Yeah, legally.
That's right. The show was complete garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dante, with 3 votes, you out of the week, Link. Goodbye.
Oh, I figured it was going to come to it. I did not know who's selling Sarah Palin was at. I figured it was going to come anyway. And they could be now. Good luck to the rest of the people. And forget you, David. I could do good on pressure.
Alright, round 2. You've banked a nothing out of a possible $10,000, but that's fine. There's only 4 of you left. 15 seconds are coming off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from last round. And I can't believe I'm saying this. The strongest link was David.
Unbelievable.
Alright. Alright, let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. David, in movies, who won a Best Actress Oscar for the film Poor Things?
Danny Lewis.
Emma Stone. Alex, what Maryland city is the location of the United States Naval Academy?
Baltimore.
Annapolis. Nicholas, what O is a Middle English word for opening, now defined as the first piece of a concert or opera?
Overture?
That's correct. Sophie, which actor played the title role in the 2001 film Zoolander?
Bank, I have no idea.
Ben Stiller. David, in television, which cafe was a frequent location on Friends? Central Perk or Cafe Nervosa?
Cafe Rosa.
Central Perk. Alex, in politics, John Fetterman is the senior senator from what state?
Ohio.
Pennsylvania. Nicholas, in medicine, the disease scurvy is caused by a lack of what vitamin?
Vitamin C?
That's correct. Sophie, the country of Uruguay is located on what continent?
Bank, Latin America.
South America.
That counts.
David, which Richard Bachman was a pseudonym used by what prolific American author?
Pass.
Stephen King. Alex, what company was the first to make denim work pants using metal ribbons?
Levi's.
That's correct. Nicholas, what photo messaging app has a ghost as its logo?
Snapchat?
That's correct. Sophie.
Bank.
Okay, guys, you banked $500 that round. Slightly better. But it's time to vote off the weakest link. Nicholas is the strongest link in this round, but David is the weakest link. How will that affect the votes? Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Sophie.
That's the receipt.
David.
Well, Nicholas, I bet you were upset that Alex missed the question about Pennsylvania and John Fetterman, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm upset that David missed Central Perk.
Yeah, that was upsetting too.
That's so obvious.
Whatever.
Alright, well, David, I guess we're putting out of your misery now. You get to go take your cold medicine. You're on the weakest link. Bye.
Get him euthanized.
I'm so glad I'm out of here. Goodbye, y'all.
Round 3, team, and you've banked $500 so far. There's only 3 of you geniuses left, so we're going to start with whoever was the strongest link last round, and that was Nicholas. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Nicholas, which tire company used a blimp to provide aerial views of sporting events?
Michelin?
Goodyear. Sophie, in the Whamageddon challenge, players are to avoid hearing what song?
I don't know. Danny Lewis?
Last Christmas. Alex, which 2025 Grammy did Kendrick Lamar win? Record of the Year or Album of the Year?
Record of the Year.
That's correct. Nicholas.
Bank.
Who was the last Texas Democrat to serve as president of the United States?
Pass.
LBJ. Sophie. In basketball, which member of the Indiana Fever has number 22?
If this is what I think it is, I'm gonna hate you. LeBron James.
Caitlin Clark. Alex.
Okay.
In movies, what is the name of the evil villain in the Nightmare on Elm Street films?
Freddy Krueger.
That's correct. Nicholas. In the game of Toss Across, players use beanbags to play what classic game of X's and O's?
Tic-tac-toe.
That's correct. Sophie.
Bang.
Which Adam Sandler film features the lead character George Simmons? Grown-ups or funny people?
Grown-ups.
Funny people.
What?
Alex, Norway and Mongolia are both bordered by what country?
Sweden.
Russia. Nicholas, in the...
Oh.
Sophie, you didn't know what last Whamageddon was?
No, I don't know that level of shit, but I think everyone knows what Goodyear is.
Yeah, that's okay. It's time to vote off the weakest link. Alex is the strongest link in this round. The weakest link is Sophie. She got all of her questions wrong. But how will the votes fare at this critical stage of the game? Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Sophie.
Sophie.
Why are you voting me off? You didn't know what Goodyear was.
Well, Alex, we haven't talked to you yet. Tell us about yourself.
Alright, well, I live in the Palmetto state of South Carolina and a YouTuber and also love cartoons and video games and hopefully want to be a voice actor one day.
Very good. I hope that works for you. Well, Nicholas, why did you vote for Sophie?
Well, Sophie was being extremely cocky and just was so complacent with their responses, so
That's true.
giving it the boot.
I'm allergic to this show.
Alright, Sophie, time to go back to Danny's den. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
No. But I have one final message for you. Danny, I hate you. Go to hell.
Round 4 is just Alex and Nicholas now. Now, whatever gets banked in this round gets doubled, so there's $20,000 up for grabs. And you banked $1,000 so far. We're going to take another 15 seconds off the clock, bringing you only 1 minute. And we'll start with who was the strongest link last round, and that was Alex. Let's play weakest link. Start the clock. Alex, in 2020, which athlete published a children's book titled I Promise?
Wayne Gretzky.
LeBron James. Nicholas. The Pythagorean theorem is based on what three-sided geometric shape?
Triangle.
Correct.
A right triangle.
Alex, what is 5 multiplied by 2?
10.
Correct. Nicholas,
Bank.
what is the last name of the president who had the initials JFK?
Kennedy.
Correct. Alex, Romance languages such as French and Portuguese are descended from which root language?
Italian.
Latin. Nicholas, what narrow Scottish lake is home to a famous monster?
Loch Ness.
That's correct. Alex, what insurance company's slogan claims that it's there like a good neighbor?
State Farm.
Correct. Nicholas,
Bank.
who played the main character in the movie Scarface?
Al Pacino. Wait, that was right?
Yeah, Al Pacino, yeah. Alright guys, you banked $1,000. We're gonna double that, turn that into $2,000. So your grand total for today, guys, is $3,000. And somehow I think that's a lot better than what I would have done if David and Sophie were the last 2 players. But anyway. Alright, you two, there's $3,000 up for grabs. I'm gonna ask you alternating questions, best of 3. Whoever is the best is the big winner of the day. So guys, for $3,000, let's play the weakest link. Nicholas, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I will.
Nicholas, in Disney's animated Robin Hood movie, Robin is depicted as what animal?
A fox.
That is the correct answer. Alex, in 2019, what female singer officially trademarked the term Hot Girl Summer?
I'll say Britney Spears.
The correct answer is Megan Thee Stallion.
Uh,
Nicholas. In geography, Four Corners National Monument is on the border of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and which fourth state?
What is Utah?
That is the correct answer. Alright, Alex, you have to get this right in order to stay in the game. What star of Better Call Saul titled his memoir Comedy, Comedy, Comedy Drama?
I'm throwing in the towel. I don't know.
The correct answer is Bob Odenkirk. Alright, well, Nicholas, congratulations. You are today's strongest link with $3,000. Hope you spend that money wisely.
I will. Thank
And
you.
Alex, you go home with nothing.
I'd probably go out to maybe establish a new kind of movie store since there's only one blockbuster.
Well, sad to leave with nothing. But at least I made it to the end, so at least that bit.
Alright, join us next time on The Weakest Link. Goodbye.
All right, everyone. I'm here with our next contestant here on the the Jackpot Game Series. Please welcome Johnny. How you doing, Johnny?
Doing well, thank you.
Very good to hear. And without further ado, let's play tonight's Jackpot and see if we can give it away here tonight. So, without further ado, let's begin. All right. Without further ado, let's begin.
Okay, let's go.
Alright, welcome to the No Deal. To win big at this game, it's going to take a lot of guts, a lot of luck, and of course, a great sense of timing.
You got it.
So, without further ado, let's begin and bring out the cases. So, game, please. Alright. Those are the 26 cases right there, as there are 26 number of cases holding different amounts of money inside. We don't know what is in what case, but we do know that the jackpot tonight is a whopping $28 million.
Now,
That's right, every time there's a jackpot not won, we add another $4 million to the total money, to the jackpot standings, and it goes all the way down to 1 penny on the board here. Out of the 26 cases, what is the case?
number 8, Hachiban.
Number 8. Number 8 is yours to keep for the entire game, unless you decide to sell the bigger, but more on that later on in the show. And hopefully, case number 8 contains $28 million. But in order to determine what's the case, we're going to open up the other cases. In those cases, not in your case. Start picking 6 cases all at once.
Alrighty, number 15, Jugoban. I'll also be teaching you how to count in Japanese as we play.
5 more cases, please. All at once.
9番, 9.
Next one.
22年, 22. 17, 17. 6番, 6. 'Is that it?
One more.
10番, 10.
All right, number 15, open the case. $140,000. Number 9.
Okay, that.
Hmm.
Oh dear. Oh, wait, that was a mistake.
8,400.
Okay.
17, $28,000.
Okay.
Number 6, 1.4
That could have been
mil.
worse. Could have been worse.
And number 10, $700,000.
Well. Yeah, could be worse, really.
And hopefully the next round we get some more money amounts off the left side. Which is what we want,
Yes,
but
we
we have
can,
50
but
seconds to make a decision. The banker is giving an offer of $888,000. Say no to that. I've filled up 5 more cases, so the question is, deal or no deal?
no deal. Yeah, as they say in Japanese.
No deal, of course.
Better.
It's way too early in the game.
Indeed. I want to do better.
Alright, 5 cases now, please, all at once.
14, 14. 3番 3. 13年 13. 26年 26. 18年 18.
Alright, number 14 has 5,600.
Excellent.
Number 3, $28. There we go.
Okay, that's good.
Number 13, $280,000.
All right.
More than $40. Number 18, ooh,
Ay, ay, ay.
4 million, 14 million.
Other than that, that was actually pretty good for me.
It was a decent round, other than that money amount right there. Alright. Now, have a next make offer. If you say no to this one, you have to open up 4 more cases all at once. This offer, $1,048,000, number $28 million. This is not on the board alone.
But I'm a gambler as well too, so no deal.
No deal. Wow.
I'm about to Johnny this. I mean, go get him, Johnny. Yeah.
Alright. 4 cases.
7番 7. 19年 19. 21年 21. And 4番 4.
Number 7 has.
Oh, here. Pretty bad.
Number 19, 1,400.
That's better.
Number 21, 21,000.
Okay.
For number 21. And number 4. Alright,
Good.
14,000.
Good.
So other than that $11,200,000, that was a okay round.
Excellent.
Bank offer is $2,131,000. Say no to that. 3 more cases. $28 million is still on the board for you to take home.
Deal or
So
no
the
deal. I'm
question
not
is-
afraid. No deal.
No deal.
I got to take the risk.
Yes, indeed. You gotta take the risk. $28 million could still be in case number 8.
Brave as Izuku Midoriya. So let's go 18 and 11. Goban 5. And 24年 24.
Number 11 has. Oh no!
Oh boy! Oh boy! That hurts. That hurts. That hurts.
There's
That's
the
better.
penny. And. Oh,
Oh my
jeez.
god! Oh my god.
I'm so sorry, Gianni, but the
awful.
good thing is $8.4 million is still in play. Along with the 5.6 and the 2.1, so
I kind of feel like I'm Izuku Midoriya at the moment.
1,232,000
I'm also a very brave
dollars.
man as well too. I've got the strength of one for all. Yeah, that's what it's called. So no deal. One more time.
All right, no deal.
That's the strength of Deku's one for all with me.
You have 2 cases to pick here, all at once.
Niban 2. Ju 25年 25.
Number 1,200. $2,800. All right. Now look at this book and see what the offer is.
No deal. One more time.
No deal. All right. The game can go either way now, but there's 50% here. One case.
Nijuban 20.
What is it?
Nijuban 20.
20. 20, please.
I've conquered it.
$700. 40% chance of winning at least $5.6 million. If you knock off the next how many model cases on the left side, you're guaranteed to be a millionaire. Your next big offer, $2,645,000. You still have multi-million-dollar amounts in play. Just remember that.
Got it. You know what? They say that you gotta know when to hold them and you gotta know when to fold them. At this point, I'm just gonna take the darn deal.
$2,645,000.
Like poker, my friend.
$2,645,000. How about that?
Nice it is.
There we go. We have a multi-million-dollar winner here, but not time to celebrate just yet. You have to find out if it was a good deal. If you said no deal, your next case would have been
Juninen 12.
number 12. What we had $180. Next offer would have been over 3.5. Over 3,300,000 plus.
Oh my.
Your next choice would have been
Ichiban 1.
1.
Yeah, Ichiban.
Number 1 would have had. I knew it was too early.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
I knew it was too early.
Oh,
5,313,000.
Oh dear me! Oh my Konosuba!
If I said not there to that, your next choice would have been
Niju Sannen 23.
this will determine if you made a good deal today or not. Does it have the 2.1 million? No, it doesn't.
Well,
it was 5.6 million. The final offer would have been $5,512,000. Now there's 2 cases left. There's 2 cases left. One case has 2.1 million. The other is 8.4 million. There's a case of either $8 or $2 million. You stole your case for over $2 million. Let's see if it was a good deal. It was a good
Alrighty.
deal.
It worked out in the end. It worked out. What a relief.
Yes, indeed. What a relief.
It's all about using your intuition, my friend.
Yes, indeed. You are a multi-millionaire in the right way, and that's going to be it for this here No Field Jackpot here. And yeah, we'll be back next time for the next No Field Jackpot game sometime soon. Bye
Good to
bye.
have you here.
Peace.
So long.
Let me get. There we go. Can you guys hear me good? Still. All right. And this is my friend Chris, who is a big hockey fan and Boston sports fan as well. So, how you get? Are you watching the Golden Knights game right now, Chris?
What's that?
You're watching the Golden Knights game right now.
Right now, finishing the end of the Philly Buffalo game.
Philly Buffalo. Interesting, but so
that one hasn't ended yet.
Oh, okay. And how are you doing tonight, though, Joey?
I'm honestly shocked with all the things that have gone on in the majors this past week, and it's only Wednesday.
Yeah. We'll get to that right now, and Chris, feel free to listen in as if because we have some Boston Red Sox stuff to get into. So if you want to, take part in that, you're more than welcome to, or just sit back and relax and listen. Joey, take it away.
Okay, I'm writing it down right now.
Because I have a lot to say in regards to that Alex Bregman bullcrap.
That's the one I'm writing down right now with the values. Alex Bregman, former Red Sox, former Astro, is now with the Cubs.
Yeah.
So we have 5 years, and I think it was $175 million.
Mm-hmm.
For the now 31-year-old Alex Bregman. In case you don't already know, Bregman had a comeback year. Bregman is now going into his 11th season. His splits were as such: 273, 364, 62, OPS of 821. He hit 18 home runs, drove in 62, and only played in 114 games. His lowest total since 2021. His lowest homer and RBI totals since 2021 as well. His highest batting average since his 2019 season, and his lowest WAR since 2021. So he's going into his age 32 season. He turns 32 in 65 more days. So at the end of March, he'll turn 32 years old. While I wouldn't have given him such a contract, because let me do the math here. 35 million a year for a 32-year-old coming off a bad season where he's been on the decline. He had a good season in 19. 2020 was the obvious COVID year with the 60-game season.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't hit higher than 270 since 2021. He hasn't driven 100 since 2019, and he hasn't had a 30 home run season since 2019. So $35 million for a guy. Yes, he won a Gold Glove in 2024, but defensively, still positive. Was an All-Star with Boston, but a one-year wonder with the Red Sox. And that's the biggest thing now is you lost Devers. Devers is now across the bay across
your area.
He's in San Francisco. The guy the Red Sox went and got to replace him is now in the Windy City. So for Boston, they have nobody at third base right now except for young prospects. However,
Marcel Meyer, who I met.
Marcel Meyer, who is still young. Let me check on his stuff real quick. because I know he's still in the process. Yeah, Marcelo Meyer, or Mayer, however they want to pronounce it. 23 years old. No, he just turned 23 this past December. Well, he struggled in his rookie season. 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. Splits are 228, 272, 402, 674 OPS. Excuse me a moment.
That's me. It's okay.
Sorry, had to sneeze, but
That's me
that's a
with
good
him right
picture.
there.
That's a good picture. But
Mhm.
biggest problem is young rookie, struck out in a third of his at bats, 41
Injury prone.
strikeouts, 127 plate appearances, and 127 at bats. He's striking out 30% of the time. Yes, he's got the 4 home runs, but he's did that in only 44 games. Was still a positive WAR. Played DH, played
Mhm.
second base, third base, and shortstop. So he's got those 3 positions down. The biggest problem now is where do you spend the money? And that comes to today. Ranger Suarez, the big southpaw from the Phillies, is
Mhm.
coming down to Boston. No, he's because Philadelphia is
It's close by.
yeah. So he's shipping up to Boston. There you go.
Yeah.
Like the Dropkick Murphys song. And Ranger
Yeah. That close.
Suarez is a powerful left-hander. He throws hard. He's had 8 seasons in the majors. Him and I are the same age. He's older than me by about 80 days. So he was born on August 26, 1995, 6'1", 217-pounder, had a 5-win season pretty much. He didn't have the greatest of starts to his career, but since 2020, he has been great. He just turned 30 this past year, but since then, he has just been great. He's been consistent. He's been solid. Identical records in 2024 and 2025. ERA
Mhm.
was a third of a run lower. Strikeouts were about the same. Walks were about the same. But since that 2020 season, he had.
There we
I'm
go.
here, Captain.
I'm
It's
sorry?
Johnny.
I'm here.
Oh, hey, Johnny. Hey, Johnny.
Now,
Just
before I
going over
continue on,
the signing of Ranger Suarez by the Red Sox today. That was 5 years, 130. So that's a contract of, let me do the math, 26 million a year for a guy who just turned 30, 12 and 8, ERA in the 3.2 range, 150 strikeouts. So he's not a strikeout guy, but he has been consistent. He had his best season since 2021, where he only had 12 starts, but that year, fantastic 8 and 5 ERA of 136 and 39 appearances. So
Mhm.
Boston gets another lefty. They've got 4 lefties down their rotation, the one righty, and then Brian Bayo, and then they have Sonny Gray. But the biggest problem now is Mayer is 23 years old, and they have to try and catch him up with the rest of that infield. And
And
another big one is with everything that's going on, their
he's entering
opponents
prone
over
too.
in Maryland, Baltimore, signed Pete Alonso, but he gets his big contract, and then the Mets get another big bat, and Jorge Polanco from up in the
My my
northwest from Seattle.
Meyer is entering prone too.
Yeah, Myers 23 though. He's young. He's played 4 different positions, so we'll see. But Pete
Let me ask.
Alonso, sorry, go
Let
ahead.
me ask. Let me ask Chris something here.
Yeah,
Would
go
you,
ahead.
if you were the Red Sox, would you actually want to give a 5-year deal, with that type of money to Alex Bregman, who last year had an injury that was for over a month and a half or so, or would you give it, to elsewhere, with the age that Bregman is in his 32 season coming up?
You asking me?
Yeah,
I haven't seen enough of either of them to be able to say for sure.
Johnny.
What are you guys talking about?
If you were the Red Sox, would you actually give Alex Bregman that type of contract, at his age 32 season, with injury, history?
Well, it's kind of a roll of the dice, basically. When he's good, he's good. But given where he is right now, it may seem a bit on the risky side, kind of high risk, low reward given where he is at the moment.
That's what bothers me because he was a leader in the clubhouse for the Red Sox, and they wanted to get rid of Devers for nothing in the infield because now Bregman is now with the Cubs, and history keeps on repeating itself. You have nobody left from 2018, which I can understand, but I understand Devers was not a clubhouse nice teammate, but he decided to get rid of Bregman, for no reason, even though that was supposed to be your next third baseman for the future. But then, the same will repeat, and that just is frustrating. So,
I don't like the contract where the Cubs had to pay the guy, but he's the best third baseman they've had since Bryant. And we all know what happened to Chris Bryant. He's been in Colorado. He got moved to left field, and he's done almost nothing with that contract.
Why did he get moved to left field in the first place? That's my question.
They had Arenado, I guess, at the time, right before they traded him, so I don't know. But that's the second worst contract in history, not given to a pitcher. It's Rendon, who was also a third baseman, who played less than anybody in the past couple of years, but that's somehow, some way, people are going to say that Pujols' contract with the Angels was worse. But I'll say this: Pujols at least played. Pujols at least hit 40 home runs in one of those years. So there's your trivia answer to that question. Now, getting back on track, we have Big Pete Alonso, 34, or going to be 34, coming up. No, he's 31. He's just turned 31 in 1994. He turned 31 last year. He's going to be 32. He's played 162 games the past 2 seasons. He's healthy. He was an MVP. He was top 15 in MVP, All-Star, Silver Slugger, so on and so forth. My biggest issue is, now that he's on an American League team, do you swap him and platoon him at first base with Mountcastle? Now you have the big polar bear over at first base. He's listed at 245 pounds, but I'd rather have a better defensive first baseman out there, so that way it's not costing you. Because he just got that big contract where he's signed for $31 million a year for this season and the next 4 after that, where he's going to be in his age 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36 seasons, where you have this big guy who could possibly bottom out. What do you think?
I think Pete Alonso should be at DH.
I agree with that because he's not the greatest defensively. And when I think of a guy that size, I think of Ortiz, who did play some first base, but he was signed for a lot less at the time. But Johnny, what do you think?
I think it's a win situation for the Orioles. They get a very excellent bat, but his defense is kind of on the side. But the fact that he'll platoon with Ryan Mountcastle also puts a prospect, Kobe Mayo, into kind of a bit of limbo. But all things told, it works out for the Orioles. It kind of helps them keep pace with the very competitive AL East.
Well, Kobe Mayo is about the same body structure. He's about an inch taller and about 15 pounds lighter. But his big issue is he could only play first or third base. And his biggest problem was in 2024, when he first got called up, he went 4 for 41 when he started. Like, he could not hit the ball at all. And his other problem this year was in 63 at-bats, yes, he got 57 hits, but 23 of those were for extra bases. And he only walked 27 times while striking out 84 times, which is a 28% clip. So he could be at third base, but the thing is, you got Rutschman, who's probably on the way out. I'm not saying that to be rude, but Rutschman, his time is winding down at catcher. And when your backup is Jacob Stallings, the tallest catcher in baseball at 6'6", Baltimore needed to address more than just moving or getting Pete Alonso. Their pitching staff has not been great, Their bullpen with Cano is okay, but it's not sufficient enough, I think, especially after last season where they went from this rebuild in 2019 where they lost 115 games, became a playoff team, I believe, but then it's like everything they had is just crumbled.
Yeah,
But
it is.
they'll have their shot. They'll have their shot. Let me get back
I
to
want to get I want to get into this topic here quick, and as Chris with the hockey fan, being a hockey fan here, I want to give his thoughts about this. It's not the one of the two things, but it's the other part. I want to get into, and as with him here, but I want to give your thoughts, on the potential split season and end season tournament that Rob Manfred recently decided to came up with, and I'm gonna say is with the split season, I get it. You want to have the players healthy, but I don't really understand that. And that's minor league baseball stuff. And the one thing that I have an issue with the end of season tournament, this is not the NBA for one, and two, I don't want to see a team, you know, winning a certain cup, and then not go further in the playoffs after the second round because me and Chris's Pasta Bruins had to deal with that as for winning the what is it called, Chris? As for like the Stanley Cup or I mean not the Stanley Cup. It was there's a certain cup in hockey. I forgot what it's called. Like like when they have the most wins or something.
Oh, the President's Trophy.
Thank you, the President's Trophy.
Yeah,
Do
that
you think
only
that?
goes out at the end of the year, though. So there's no tournament for that.
I'd hope
Yeah,
not. That's supposed to be for the
yeah,
best team in the league. That's the team that
yeah,
scores. I have a very limited knowledge of hockey, but I think the President's Trophy has always gone to the team that has the most points at the end of the year.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I do understand that much, but that in-season tournaments, get rid of it. You don't need it. The
yeah,
NBA had the New York Knicks just win theirs. They haven't won jack in years. They haven't
yeah,
won they haven't won the NBA championship. They haven't had to hold a trophy. They said, "Oh yeah, we're not going to display this banner that we won something." It's just like you haven't won anything in forever. Don't be Notre Dame. Notre Dame
yeah,
didn't want to play in the freaking college football playoff in the Pop Tart Bowl because, we're too good for that. Well, guess what? This is why now you're trying to claim you're champions of this. Get rid of this really crappy tournament that nobody
mm-mm,
is going to acknowledge. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
it's the thing I liked, and this was what every sport should have done. And baseball got rid of it, and I don't like it. Home field advantage. Whatever conference wins, or whatever team wins, home field advantage should be brought back.
I agree.
That was what the All-Star game was about. In the Pro Bowl, it never mattered. Because the Pro Bowl,
Yeah,
that was basically them going and having a vacation in Honolulu at the time. Now they're moving it everywhere and they're playing the Pro Bowl games or whatever. But no in-season tournaments that mean nothing, that don't acknowledge anything, and that don't solve anything. In-season
yeah,
tournaments it's just like practice for them pretty much to win a trophy that's insignificant, and that's gonna it's not a pin in your cap thing. It's not like
yeah,
when players used to win All-Star Game MVP, they used to get that silver bat and everything, the what's the word? Translucent baseball bat that was like a glass bat, and they'd get a
yeah,
truck or a car of some kind. It used to
mhm,
be incentive. They don't have the incentive anymore to win All-Star Game MVP or whatever. So,
yeah,
but no, trash the in-season tournament.
Yeah, winning in the in-season tournament is like the I think it was 2018 National Predators hanging a Western Conference champion banner.
And did they even win?
They won the Western Conference. So that's the banner that they hung. They didn't win the Stanley Cup that year.
Oh, Joey.
See, in baseball, it's different. They hang up division ones, conference championships.
Yeah, they've always held up. They've always posted those pennants. The division, winning the division means something. They won the conference. This was the final round before the Stanley Cup, the conference championship, and they hung a banner for that.
And that's entirely different. But an in-season tournament banner, that's insignificant, to me at least. Because
honestly, in the world of hockey, it's just as insignificant. They were mocked for it tremendously, and they still get mocked for it because all that banner meant was we got to the Stanley Cup and you didn't even win it. So
no, and that's sad. It really is.
Can I jump in for a minute, you guys?
What's that, Tony?
I jump in for a second.
If I
no objection from me.
That's like finishing. That's like complaining that you finished 5th in something, and it's just like all I got was this crappy medal. It's just like you placed. Who cares?
Go ahead,
and
Tony.
I've always heard the rule: second place is just the first loser. Who cares? You made it close. That's like saying getting to the playoffs doesn't count. I mean, the Panthers made the playoffs and lost, but still, that's Carolina. Carolina came back from pretty much hell with Jerry Richardson as their owner, so I give them that much credit, but they're not going to say they won the division because everyone else sucked.
Yeah.
If sucking and falling backwards into success is such a problem, I'd hate to be right about that. Because not everybody's just going to get to win. It's not a participation trophy kind of world anymore. You win because you win with a losing record. That means you did something. You at least tried.
What got Tampa, for example? Boy,
Can I jump in for a sec, you guys?
Okay.
What's that?
I'll give my thoughts on this. Couple things. Number one, the Knicks' last NBA championship was in 1973 against the Lakers. And the President's Trophy of the NHL, I know hockey a little bit more, but it's kind of an albatross because in this century, the team that made those regular season points and won the most games during the regular season has gone on to lose the championship every time. And
that's why I don't want baseball to happen.
And thirdly, for MLB, while the league has been, since Manfred took over as commissioner, not afraid to try bold things like the pitch clock and whatnot, an in-season tournament might be a bit of a harder sell considering baseball season structure.
Well, you're right. 162 games. It's the longest season out of any of the 4 major sports. Hockey has 82. Basketball has 82. Football has 16, and if you're lucky, you get 4 more or 3 more and they changed that to a 17-game season. They got rid of one of the preseason games, so there's a reason. Yeah. There's a reason each one, and I don't like the fact that there's an in-season tournament for basketball. It's just like, oh yeah, there's a bigger risk of you getting hurt in the middle of an important season over something that's going to be insignificant. It doesn't give you anything except for some stupid trophy that doesn't matter unless it's the NBA Cup.
Yeah. And guess what? Every time, for the past 2 seasons they tried that, the team has not gone past the second round in the NBA in the playoffs.
See, and that's just it. Like Johnny's said about the President's Cup, it doesn't matter how much you win because, and I don't mean to hit a dead horse here, but when I think of a team that's won the most, only one team who has ever set the wins record went on to win the World Series, and that hasn't happened since then. The Mariners won 116 games, and unfortunately, they lose to the Yankees, who set the record 3 years before them. It's hard to win that many games because once you win so much, that's why there's only been, in football specifically, one perfect season. Because you still have to go through the long haul. That's why when teams win 82 games, it's hard. Go through 82 games, it's hard. When I think
Mhm.
about it, the Warriors when they went 73-9, that is even more difficult because you think about the
Ooh.
Bulls and how talented they were. You have to have such a concentrated amount of talent at all times to be that good. It's like how they said the Dodgers, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. The Dodgers bought their way to another World Series. Yes and no. Think about every player just about that they've gotten. Pajes, minor league guy. Justin Dean, outfield replacement, minor league guy. And Yamamoto, yes, he got $325 million, but it's a, and I told David about
Japanese.
this specifically, the posting. When they post the player, everybody sends in bids. And
Hmm.
whatever amount comes back that's the most, then the team can sign the player.
Yep.
But again, Otani, not wanted by the Angels anymore, signs with the Dodgers.
Yep.
Freddie Freeman wanted to stay with the Braves, got signed by the Dodgers when the Braves lowballed him because Freddie Freeman's agent is a freaking moron.
I know what you're talking about.
Mookie Betts gets traded to the Dodgers because the Dodgers didn't want to pay him all that money.
You mean the Red
It's
Sox didn't want to pay all that money?
the
The Red
Red
Sox.
Sox. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the Red Sox didn't want to pay him all that money. I don't like the Dodgers very much. I wanted the Blue Jays to win this year, but again, it's David versus Goliath, and unfortunately, Goliath had the ability to sign these players and get these players because everyone else is playing with no money and they don't want to spend money. When you have this money,
Mhm.
you have to spend money to make money, and to make your team better, you have to go out and spend it. That's why
Yeah.
Edwin Diaz is now a Dodger because the Dodgers signed him when the Mets didn't. And in case you
Hmm.
haven't noticed, the Dodgers are signing players while Boston, and I say this very nicely, was the last team in the godforsaken offseason to sign a free agent. How are
Frankie
you supposed to
Suarez.
compete with that when Pittsburgh, Miami, the homeless A's, who got denied twice, may I add, for their freaking trademark for Las Vegas, and
Yeah.
Sacramento? If you're
Hmm.
not fighting for your team, no wonder franchises get pissed off. No wonder their fans get pissed off. You see how many fans show up to Dodger games? It's because
Yeah.
there's money being spent on talent.
Same
That's
thing with
why,
San
and I saw,
Diego.
yeah, that's why the
Sa-
Angels, they don't have sellouts anymore. That's why you see so many empty seats. And I just saw this today on the internet. The Rockets got Kevin Durant. 90, no, not nine, that'd be too much. 60% of the seats in the Houston arena for for the Rockets basketball team is empty because they have Kevin Durant. That's one guy who's good.
Yeah.
You don't spend money, you don't have fans. They
Yeah.
care about the talent that's put on the field. That's why the Dodgers, the Yankees, for the most part, the Mets, that's why these teams that aren't lower market have fans. You
Hmm.
drive away your fans by not putting confident players on the field. And
Not only that, not only that, but the parking garages ticket prices, like the parking
oh
tickets.
god, when I was a fan of them in Oakland, the A's specifically, $30 to park your car. $30 to park your car. And this was on nights when Oracle wasn't hosting the Warriors games. $30. And when there was games where they were trying to fill up the stadium and everything, and there was a concert, forget it. There was 3 mile long traffic jams because they had Oracle Arena and then the Oakland Coliseum selling tickets to the same thing. That was one of the reasons. And my biggest problem is this: Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Pirates said they were going after Kyle Schwarber. Knowing how
I
Pittsburgh
found
is,
that laughable.
Bob Nutting.
And also, the closer garage, parking spots near Fenway range from like that are closer to Fenway between $40 and $60.
To park your car. Oh, I'm sorry. To park your car. There you go. That's how they say it in Boston. Park your car. But no, it's debilitating when you realize, because I'm not a Giants fan, but when I was going to Giants games, because I started going because that's what's there now is Giants games. But at least that way, when I'm taking Caltrain and going down there from Diridon, it's $10. And that's it. $10 round trip to go down there, pay tickets that I maybe pay $60 for. That's $70, and I don't have to pay for parking. I don't have to pay for parking, but it's a beautiful stadium, beautiful area, and that's why I envy people who live in Seattle, because they get to see Safeco every year. Safeco is one of the best ballparks there is in the majors. It just sucks that they have to put up with baseball being screwed up by Jerry DePoto every year because he keeps going and fire selling everybody.
Hey, Chris, how much is the parking ticket for TD Garden?
It all depends on where you park. People come in from all over. A lot of people take the T. Some places you can park for the T for $15, and then you're paying another $10 for the T. I mean, the ticket itself is going to be $200 to get in the door, but that's what happens when you have a team that's made the playoffs every season for a decade straight. They've had one bad season, and right now they're right back in the thick of it. Having been in ticketing offices for multiple teams and working on the other side, there's a lot more to the ticket pricing and all that stuff than what you're talking about with the player signing. It really has a lot more to do with how the team's performing and what the secondary market looks like than anything else. A team like the Dodgers, they're going to be able to sign players because players want to go there. LA is one of the highest tax states and cities that a player could play in, and yet people want to go there because the owners have invested in the team. They've invested in what the facilities are like, and they're winning. That's why in the NHL players want to go and sign with Florida, with Tampa Bay, with Vegas, because they treat their players well. Aside from a few instances you could highlight in Vegas, like the New York Rangers, they're starting to fall apart because a year and a half ago, their general manager forced Barclay Goodrow into a position where he ended up getting waived because he didn't waive his no movement clause that he had in his contract. And he still ended up on the team that he didn't want to go to because they were first on the waiver wire. And ever since then, they've been in a downward spiral that hasn't stopped. You've got Ottawa, who's a disaster right now, and they've got rumors flying around of various bull crap online that now they've got their owner amplifying and their general manager amplifying by making statements and just bringing unnecessary attention to it. The New Jersey Devils, it gets out that players didn't waive no move clauses to make other deals work for them, and now they're falling apart. Players aren't going to waive to go there. For the last 15 years, Buffalo has been on so many no trade clause lists because no one wanted to play there. It was a perennial loser. Now they've got a general manager regime change. Jarmo Kekalainen has taken over after being a special advisor this year, and they've won 11 of their last 13 games, including a 10-game win streak or 11-game win streak. They just won again tonight over Philly. They're right back in the playoff mix. They won 3 of the games before Kekalainen even took over. Now Buffalo's coming off of no trade lists, and players. It's a great market. It's just no one's wanted to be there because the team is sucked. So with a general manager who knows what he's doing, with a high reputation around the league, players are going to want to go there. He's looking to make a major buy move, and he's going to be able to pull something off.
Charlie?
Seeing how Buffalo is right now, they're 25-16-4. They're one of the better teams in the league, and that's exactly why people want to go there now. That's why
if you look at how they started the season, though, they've only gotten to that record because they are 8-2 in their last 10 because they went on a 11-game winning streak. Up until that point, they were one of the worst teams in the league. This turnaround literally happened within the last 2 weeks because now they were already on the right track, but they were a perennial loser. And if you go back to last year, we had Kevin Adams, their general manager, making comments about how he was behind the 8 ball in trying to acquire players. Players didn't want to sign there. And there's an infamous quote of him saying that they don't have palm trees in Buffalo. And he was mocked for weeks on it. All right. Why do players want to go to Florida? Everyone wants to blame income tax. Players want to go to Florida because they've won 2 cups in a row, because they have a great culture down there that's led by cup winners, by one of the best players in the league and one of the most underappreciated players in the league in Alexander Barkov. They want to be there for various reasons. The money helps.
And the weather as well in Florida at this time.
That doesn't hurt. Driving a golf cart to from the rink every day from the practice facility is also a great benefit as well.
And seeing with that win, I may note they just passed the Panthers in the standings and are now number 6 in their division.
Yeah, they just upped their stake, and they're right in the wild card race. They actually went ahead the Bruins too, because the Bruins won earlier. Right now, Buffalo has that tiebreaker between them because they've played 2 fewer games. So in the points percentage column, they're up on them. But again, you look at Buffalo's last 13 games. You know, it's the winning streak that really put them right back in it, and that happened 3 games into Yarmo's. Yarmo took over 3 games into that win streak.
One other thing is good luck getting any players this offseason, especially because I just looked at the standings. Tampa Bay is they're flying right now. They've won 10, 11 straight. They're unstoppable, and the Lightning are unstoppable right now.
Yeah, they also only have $2.2 million in cap space right now, so they're very capped out, and they don't have much where they can go out and add. They're going to be very interesting. They're pretty much dollar in, dollar out for the trade deadline. So as much as they're dominating right now, they're going to have their work cut out for them to make sure they get themselves put over, because even if they make it to the Cup final, they're going to have a hell of a matchup, probably from a team that comes out of the Pacific, whether it's Colorado, Dallas, or Minnesota. Minnesota just added Quinn Hughes, one of the top defensemen in the entire world, and the only player they pretty much lost, they lost 2 players off their starting lineup, and one of them was Zeev William, who's a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid that they just added to the roster. So they really didn't take much to significantly upgrade their team, and right now they're just soaring up, and I mean, Colorado's in another realm right now.
Getting back to baseball news, just real quick.
Yeah,
there is players still out there that have not reached their teams yet, but the biggest one coming up is Kyle Tucker. The Mets have actually talked to him. He said he's going to have a decision as early as tomorrow.
Oh boy.
So he is nearing a decision. The Mets have offered him a short-term deal. They could have, and this is what Jim Duquette says on the pursuit of the Mets for Kyle Tucker. It wouldn't stun me if Mets bump their offer equal to Soto's AAV, and he's got a massive contract. So that's $51 million AAV over that 15-year contract Soto has. And the Dodgers want him, and the Blue Jays want him. So this is going to be massive because
what about the Cubs?
The Cubs have said nothing.
Okay.
It's down to 3 teams. The Blue Jays, they've had a fantastic offseason. Toronto is someone to look out for in the American League.
The Blue Jays,
Dodgers, if they go get Kyle Tucker, that outfield is going to be absolutely disgusting. And I mean that in the greatest way possible, because those 3 outfielders they currently have are ridiculous. They've been linked to Bo Bichette, the ex-Blue Jay at this point. He is looking at a contract from several teams. He's still not signed. He could play shortstop. He could play third base. He could play second base. So that is another big name that's not gotten signed. But Tucker is one of the only guys since 2021 who've had a higher F WAR than Kyle Tucker in the last since 2021. He's got 127 home runs, 415 RBIs, 96 steals, and weighted runs created of 144 over the last 614 games he's played. So he could be a big guy in that lineup. But what you want, especially if you're one of those three teams, is a short porch in right field for Tucker so he can knock him over the wall because the Cubs didn't have that. They had very large Wrigley Field with the wind blowing all the time. I'm surprised someone like Seattle or Boston haven't gone after him. All things considered, Tucker plays a good outfield, and right field and Safeco is not a very far distance from home plate. Boston would love to have him because they need another outfielder, not named Masataka Yoshida. Who I'm
Well,
surprised is still
well,
there.
we have Wilder Abreu, Roman Anthony, and Sendon Rafaela, who is a great center fielder.
Who can also move to second base.
Yes, which I
So
don't
if
like
you
that move, but you know,
But no, there's plenty of players still out there. Cody Bellinger, and this was rumored, and I don't like this at all. Boris wants Scott Boris, who is one of the biggest pricks when it comes
yeah.
to agents. $400 million is what he wants for Cody Bellinger.
Is he
Cody
the same one
Bellinger
who
is,
had that? Is he the same one who had Freddie Freeman?
I'm not sure, but I don't
Okay.
think that was him. I think that was someone else. He had Jordan Montgomery. Freddie
Scott Boras
Freeman,
is one of the best agents in the entire world, though. If anyone's going to be able to get the money they want, it's going to be Scott Boras. He's one of the most respected and well-known agents. He's got probably the highest portfolio, probably in all the sports, because contracts in baseball are so high and guaranteed. But he's the most respected and most known agent in all of baseball, similar to
That I agree
the
with.
same type of profile that Drew Rosenhaus has in the NFL. Um, he's got a hammer that he can use. Absolutely.
that's just been the problem with Boris' clients. I don't know if that's been a common theme, but the one I think about most, one of them being Kyle Tucker, another one being Cody Bellinger. They've gotten
Mhm.
short-term contracts because they've waited too long, and another one is Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery, he ended up getting wasted in Arizona, $25
Yeah,
million a season. Then he gets traded to Milwaukee for God knows what. And that was a big one when you get traded for almost nothing. Because speaking of Arizona, and I'll go over that in a moment, but Jordan Montgomery was the worst signing in Arizona Diamondbacks history because he spent one season there, made 21 starts, was worth negative 1.4 WAR, ERA of 6.25, and he went 8-7. He walked half as many as he struck out, and he gave up 83 runs in 117 innings while allowing 149 hits. That contract was so bad, and then they bought in on the contract because the owner pissed him off. The general manager pissed him off, and that was $22.5 million that they ended up having to eat. And that contract was traded. He was traded for Shelby Miller in that same season at the trade deadline last year. And may I say, he was worth 1.6 WAR, ERA under 2 in 37 games. He was better than Jordan Montgomery was in his entire $50 million contract. That's why Scott Boras is respected, but he wants too much money for too many years, scares away teams, scares general managers, and he's bad for baseball. Anyways, speaking of big contracts, one of the biggest contracts and one of the biggest problems Colorado had was they couldn't keep their star players.
mhm.
And the bad contract from Chris Bryant was another problem. Nolan Arenado got shipped to Arizona this week. He's now going to play third base in the desert. 35
Mhm.
years old, coming off his worst season he's had since his rookie year. He's going to be 36. He's not won a Gold Glove. He's going into his 14th. He's coming up on season 14. Lowest home run total, lowest RBI total since the shortened season. fewest RBIs since his rookie year back in 2013. He hit 237. His OPS was well below league average. He's still got the glove, but to me, he could be washed up at this point. He had a positive WAR defensively still, but he absolutely hated his time in St. Louis. That trade to the Cardinals was not what they needed. But
Yeah.
the Cardinals got one guy in that trade, and that was a 1-for-1. They didn't have to eat. I don't think they ate any money in that deal. But the problem is, Arenado is not the same hitter he was. And that trade was for back with in 2021. We're coming up on the 5-year mark of that trade. He's getting paid.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. He's getting paid $27 million, and $5 million of that was paid by the Rockies. The Rockies paid all this money just so they could get rid of Nolan Arenado, and then the Cardinals trade him to Arizona. He makes $27 million next year, and it's not going to be good for them. It's like in the NHL where they sign these guys to long-term contracts and they're not the same. But at least in the NHL, they know how. Because what? It's a 60-minute game. It's 60 minutes, depending on whether or not you go to overtime. And I know the overtime rules have changed from 5-on-5 in 10 minutes to this 3-on-3 with a goalie. To me, the older the player is, the harder it's going to be to keep them. I'm not underscoring what Nolan Arenado was to baseball. It's just that, to me, he's slowly losing what he had, and he's quickly turning into, I think I'd call it Scott Rowland at the end of his career, where he's good defensively, but he's not there offensively. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say Steve Avery bad, but he's just a body. He's quickly becoming just a body at this point. He's not a locker room cancer, but he's going to make his team better defensively, but he's just there. I can't really draw. It's not quite Shaquille O'Neal in Boston. Not yet. We'll hold off on that comparison. Because I know when Shaq got older, when he went to Phoenix and then he went to Boston, not the same guy. Just an aging veteran on a team that's not going to be there.
Well, you're also missing some of the bigger picture as to why are you bringing in a certain player. The Celtics weren't bringing in Shaquille O'Neal to be what he was when he was with the Lakers or what he was when he was with the Orlando Magic. They were bringing him in to be that veteran presence. That is exactly what they wanted. That is exactly what they got and what they paid for. You mentioned the contracts in the National Hockey League. There's very few players. You're talking about aging guys that aren't going to be signed for very long. There's a new CBA going into effect where the length of a contract can't no longer exceed 7 years if you sign with your original team, 6 if you're signing with a different team. That goes into effect next summer. So we've already seen a lot of players take advantage of the maximum current 8 years. That went with Quinn Hughes to Minnesota, that 8th-year option. So they have until June 30th of next year to get him signed with an 8-year extension if he wants to stay. If he were to then move on, then he would only be able to sign, I believe it's September when that kicks in, but they are the only ones that can sign him to that 8th year. So if he doesn't sign and hits free agency on July 1st of next year, that 8th year completely goes out the window. And then if he doesn't sign by September, which is not going to happen, he can only get the 6 years at that point. So we've already seen some players, with the exception of Connor McDavid, who took a very short-term deal just to try to continue to help the Edmonton Oilers fight for cup contention over the next couple seasons. I believe he took 2-year extension at his current rate. The best player in the world is doing what he can to help his team in that sense. We've already seen Jack Eichel sign for another 8 years. We've seen Kirill Kaprizov sign for another 8 years. Kyle Connor signed for another 8 years. All the big names for this offseason are off the board. Your best free agent right now is going to be Artemi Panarin, who's 34 years old. Patrick Laine is up there, but he's suffered a lot of injuries over his career, including more this year. Pretty much every free agent right now that's hitting the market is over 30 because they signed a deal when they were in their early 20s. The ELC will carry them until they're 22, maybe 23 years of age. Then their restricted free agency years are through the age of 26. some hit what's called a Group 6 free agency status before that based on games played and that sort of thing. But most of the players who are going to hit that range are hitting it because of their age, not because of games played. The ones that are hitting it because of games played are signing their big ticket deals. We've already seen some of them sign. For instance, Pavel Mintyukov is already signed. Leo Carlson is signed in Anaheim. So, we saw that tactic used for other teams, notably Toronto a couple of years ago. They got boned out of their success because of COVID, because if Kyle Dubas's projections on the cap were correct, they would have been able to hang on to and re-sign. They'd still have guys like Mitch Marner and some of the other guys that they've seen leave over the years because they were in a cap crunch and they were trying to keep their core four guys of Marner, Nylander, Tavares, and Austin Matthews together. But they've now come to the realization that mix doesn't work, and now they're still crunch up against the cap because they don't have guys that people can afford. So when you're looking at, and of course they've given out no move clauses left and right. And so when you have players that can limit where they're dealt to, and the teams they want to go to don't have the cap space to take them on, the fact that they just adjusted the CBA, there's now I want to say it's 70 days, 700 calendar days. If you trade a player, you can no longer do a double retention on their deal. So 2 years ago in their record-setting season, one of the moves that the Bruins made was they acquired Dmitry Orlov from the Washington Capitals. And they were able to do that because they shipped him to Boston through the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota Wild took on a percentage of his salary in the deal, and the Bruins paid them a draft pick to do that so they could afford to fit him under the salary cap. In order to pull that move off now, Orlov would have to be traded to the Minnesota Wild and then wait, I believe it's 70 calendar days before he could then be moved, because there was a little bit of money retained in Washington and a little bit of money retained in Minnesota. That double retention now has to wait. So all that's done is slowed down some of the bigger moves. Now it's a lot more dollar in, dollar out when it comes to those kinds of trades.
That is a lot, and I'm glad I've learned this now, where the NHL has a lot better situation. I know they have a salary cap because
it's a triple cap league.
Triple cap league, and I like that a lot better. The NHL has it. The NBA, they're max contracts in the NBA. I've always wondered if they could cap off money. Like, I don't mean cap off how much you can spend. There should be a salary cap floor and a salary cap ceiling in each of the four major sports. I know a lot of people get pissed off about hearing that, but if I have a team like, say, I'm not sure what the lowest spending team in the NHL is, but there's a thing in baseball now where if you're getting there's a draft lottery in every league now except for football. Football, you could still tank and be terrible. But in baseball, you cannot get the first overall pick anymore if you realistically were the worst in the league. It's whoever wins the draft lottery, that gets it. It was the White Sox this past year, and they weren't the worst team. But that's fine. It's so that way a team can't be like the Astros were, where they were so bad 3 years in a row and they got all the number one picks, pretty much. But
yeah, so we've seen that in the NHL. We're starting to see some of that parity kind of level off. The Edmonton Oilers, they've got 3 first-round picks on their roster right now. Not first-round picks, but Connor McDavid was a first overall pick. Leon Draisaitl was 4th, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was a first overall pick. There's one more in there, and I can't remember who it was, but they missed on. They had pretty much four first overall picks. We're seeing that in Buffalo right now. That's part of why they were able to have the talent to win the way that they did. Dahlin was a first overall. Owen Power was first overall. Again, Tage Thompson was up there in the first round of his draft. I want to say he was 5th or 4th or something like that. But the NHL has adjusted it so that in their draft lottery, the most you can move up is do what the New York Islanders did last year in the draft. You can only move up 10 spots. So if the lottery is only the first 16 teams, or the worst 16 teams, if you are that 16th team, the highest draft pick you can get is 6. And then they will continue to, pull the ping pong balls out of the thing until they get someone who's eligible for that first overall pick. There's also a stipulation where I think you can't win it like in back-to-back years or like 3 out of 4. Like there's stipulations in that as well. I think it's maybe 3 out of 5 you can't win that first overall pick. If they pull you, then they redraw so someone else gets it. Like there's just a couple things so that it doesn't backlog the same way that it did. And then of course they, their parity. I mean, if you look at the Eastern Conference right now, the worst team in the conference is the Columbus Blue Jackets, and even then, they're just a couple wins. If you really think about what a win streak in the NHL can do, you go on 4-game win streak. That's another 8 points. That puts them right back in the mix of a wild card spot. So the parity is really starting to level off between where the teams are, and some of the teams that have been at the bottom of the league, San Jose, Anaheim, Buffalo, those teams are now starting to flip, and they're starting to find their footing. Ottawa made the playoffs last year. Again, this year they've got a lot of mess going on overall, but you're seeing some of those teams. Chicago's another one. They're finally, they get Connor Bedard in their draft, and they're starting to get Levshunov. Those guys are starting to come in and make big strides in just a couple seasons. So they're starting to make their pushes, and so the parity is really starting to really show.
And that's just it. I think, and a lot of people have said this over the years, because anytime a team has bad for a significant amount of time, a team has gone through a significant amount of rebuilds. When I think of a team like that, I think of the Pirates in the MLB. I think of the Browns in the NFL. I think of teams who've tried, but they aren't trying hard enough. And there goes David.
Look, you can't really knock the Browns. They draft 45 quarterbacks in 37 years. Like they're throwing darts at the dartboard and the lights aren't even on. So
and
they're doing their best over there. Their best isn't good enough, but you can't fault them for not trying. So
and another thing is, when your best quarterback, and the sad part was, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going off on another way, but the Pittsburgh Steelers just had their head coach step down. If you're so good that your coaching tree has had 3 coaches since the 60s, 60 years ago, Chuck Noll was the coach then, in 1966. He was there until 96 or 97. If you have a good... I'm sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
He was there from Chuck Noll was the Steelers head coach from 1960, 1991. On that note, I got to get going. It's pretty late. Have a good night, you guys.
Hey, it was good having you on, Johnny. Good to see you as always. Have a good night.
Have a good one. But yeah, after that, it was Bill Cowher.
Yeah, and you don't see that amount of the amount of consistency. You don't see that anymore in the NFL. You don't see these long tenured coaches, and that's why when I think about it, it stems from ownership, coaches, and then it goes down to your players. Because if you have the same guy there for so long, it immediately harkens back to there's a difference between Pittsburgh and Dallas, where both of them have a lot of rings, but they haven't had coaches last, because they had Landry, they had Jimmy Johnson in Dallas, Barry Switzer, and then they had guys like Dave Campo and everything. They went through like 10 coaches before they get to, I think it was Parcells, then Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, and even now. But I think that's what may make or break a franchise, is whether or not they have a consistent head coach. And
yeah, it's what I call it the same thing when it's players developing. It's the fast food mentality. You want it right away. You want the results right away. I mean, right now, your longest tenured head coach in the National Hockey League is John Cooper, and he's been with the Tampa Bay Lightning since 2013. So he's going on,
might be going into his 14th
years.
season coming up. So, But
right, and then you've got Bednar 2016. Rob Brindamore was started with Carolina in 2018, and then anybody else after that's 22, which I believe is Cassidy in Vegas, St. Louis in Montreal, and I want to 22 was also when Paul Maurice took over in Florida. Beyond that, everybody else is
let's
within the
say
last
what
2-3
you would
years.
call a revolving door, essentially, with these coaches now, because ownership becomes. That's why when I think of a very significant problem, it seems to be ownership has always been the issue. If you have good ownership, you normally have a good coach, because you can't push the coach out the door when you think it's their fault that you aren't bringing in good enough players, spending enough money. It's when the budget is not significant enough that they have to go overspend, overreach in the draft and everything else.
A good owner knows when to step away from a decision and let the people that they've hired make the decisions. That's what Pagula did with the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills have been a much better organization for it. He hasn't done that with the Buffalo Sabres, and
No.
now and so he was constantly involved over Kevin Adams' shoulder, and it showed. With Jarmo Kekalainen now involved, there's no way that Jarmo would have taken this job if he was going to be having his
Sorry
shoulder
about that.
have a parrot
Right.
on it, and that parrot was going to be Terry Pagula. There's no way he was going to take this job because Yarmo knows what he's doing. He's going to look at Terry Pagula and say, "Let me do the job you hired me to do, and we'll be able to fix this." And now he's gone out. He's flipped over coaching positions or assistant coaching positions, mostly in the scouting department. They've just hired like 8 people between scouting and player development. And Yarmo can scout. Like, that's one of the biggest things that he was known for during his time in Columbus with the Blue Jackets. He is a scout. His background is in scouting. So if anybody can help, keep a budget low, is the guy who can go out and identify the guys that are going to be on, ELCs for the next 3 years and yet still be able to contribute because they have that kind of talent. So, when you have other bad owners or ownership get involved, I mean, look at the Ottawa Senators recently. Ownership gets involved in their situation and the rumors that are online. They put out a statement and now it's blown up. More people have heard about this story than they would have if they had just kept their mouth shut, because it was only a local media story. And, their excuse is the local media wanted them to put out a statement, or asking if they were putting out a statement on the whole thing. They could have simply said, no, it's not worth our time to comment on. But instead, they put out a statement, and now national media is running it with it, because outlets like The Athletic, any reputable outlet wasn't running with what's perceived to be BS rumors, because it doesn't come from a trustable source. And so if the team is keeping a lid on it, so are the reputable places. Well, as soon as the team puts a statement out on it, you've opened up an entire can of worms, and now those reputable sources have to ask questions. Who do they get the most access to? The players. So now you've put the players in a firing squad asking about all these different things, and now fans are expecting answers that they're not going to get.
No.
You've created a disaster just by stepping in it.
And the way I'm seeing the situation between Buffalo and Ottawa, based off the way they are, the combination of the two harkens back to Billy Martin and George Steinbrenner, what they went through in the saga that was Billy Martin being brought back and fired as a manager 5 times. And the problem was Billy Martin going out, getting drunk all the time, coming in after the fact. He'd be wearing his sunglasses, he'd be drunk, hungover, and everything else. And he'd fight with his players. He had problems with Reggie Jackson and a multitude of others. And he ended up getting in a fight with Reggie Jackson in the dugout in a game in 1978 on national television. And he had to be held back from attacking his star player at Fenway because he was so mad. They won championships. But that's the problem, is you can win with chaos then. Now, after the aughts and the 10s and now in the 20s, the 2020s, social media has ruined the sports world. Because
No, it hasn't.
It's made it
No, it hasn't.
better.
It's changed how teams have to approach PR. That's all it's done. and one of the biggest things that it's done is trolls are going to troll. Doesn't matter whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, whatever the next social media is. People are always going to do that. You can't stop people who just want to see the world burn. Period. It's when internal business gets out that you have the hardest time putting back in the can. If that's the toothpaste that comes out of the tube. And we're seeing that in New Jersey. Players didn't waive no move clauses so that they could bring in the Quinn Hughes, the last Hughes brothers. They got the other two, Luke, and they got Jack on reasonably good deals long term. And because players weren't willing to waive their no move clauses that the team gave them, fans are pissed because they wanted to have all three Hughes brothers. And it doesn't help that the team has been horrible on the ice lately. That doesn't contribute to helping the matter. If they were winning, fans would just let it all blow over. But because the toothpaste is out and the team can't stick it back in the tube, people know they've targeted, first and foremost, they've identified where the problem is, because people aren't that dumb when Luke Hughes isn't getting benched, but Dougie Hamilton gets benched, and Dougie Hamilton has been the better of the two, despite them both not playing very well, and they both have $9 million contracts under their belt. You sit one but not the other, and why? Oh, well, because Luke is Jack's brother. You don't want to piss off Jack, who's your best center, who you already lost for a month of the season because he sliced his thumb half off at a team dinner. So you're not going to bench Luke. You bench Dougie Hamilton, whose agent now comes out and says, we're willing to work with the team on a move, but they have to be willing to work with us. It's almost it's an albatross contract to move. So now you've got fans booing Luke Hughes because he's been the worst player of the two.
Yeah.
Every time he touched the puck, they were berating him. And not that it wasn't warranted. Fans can boo all they want. But now they're pissed at the team for also benching Dougie. They can't move. They're pissed at the team for a signing from 6 years ago because it's come back to bite them in the ass. They can't move off the Andre Palat deal, which is one that – because the Dougie Hamilton deal was one that, guess what, the owner got involved in. He said, go sign this guy. Do whatever you have to do to bring him in. So that's what they did. Can't really fault GM for that move when the owner's the one controlling the checkbook on that one. So now you've got the fans pissed at the team. The team's stuck in a spot where now other teams know they want to move a $9 million defenseman who's not playing like a $9 million defenseman. And good luck convincing the team to let you do that.
There's a lot of layers to this, and the biggest problem is the agent saying that, oh, yeah, let's make a move, and the team has to agree with the agent, and then you got the $9 million guy. But Hamilton's supposed to be the better player. Luke Hughes is not doing what he has to do. You don't want to piss off his brothers, even though they're all three on the team now. The team's in turmoil.
Quinn's in Minnesota.
But
Quinn
still,
is in Minnesota. It's because they lost out on the deal that would bring him in. All right. That internal business, the fact that they went for Quinn Hughes, the fact that they couldn't get the deal done because of these no movement clauses, that's the news that got out. That's what's turning fans against the team, because you would think a general manager at the National Hockey League would be able to be prepared to make that kind of move when people perceive that he wasn't ready to make such a move, when in reality he was trying to make that move. Just someone else, Bill Guerin, makes a phone call. He literally gets the deal done in less than 2 hours because he knows exactly what Vancouver's looking for Quinn, and he's not afraid to, pull it out, put it on the table, and say, this is what I'm going to offer you. And he gets the deal done just like that. So, if there was some back and forth, maybe New Jersey is still involved in it and Quinn is still in Vancouver. But a GM stepped up to the plate, had exactly what the team was looking for, and got it done.
And that seems like the biggest issue is if your GM can't pull the trigger, why is he still there? Why would you still try and trust in the guy when you realize he's not willing to go the extra mile to make his team better? He was
trying to. The limiting contract was the one the owner forced him to sign. The Dougie Hamilton contract. That's the one the owner said, you're signing this guy. Go get it done.
And it seems like that if you don't sign Hamilton, then you go get Hughes, and then you have a better team for it. But now you have to deal with a struggling guy and Hamilton, who's on the bench, when the other guy, Luke Hughes, is supposed to be clearly on the bench for his lack lackluster performance. But the biggest problem is now the whole team has to put up with this massive shit sandwich that's on the table because you couldn't go get one guy from Vancouver, bring him to Jersey because Brad Gorin, like you said, has everything there. He had everything together, and he didn't have to worry about that stupid $9 million contract now that you now have that, like you said, is an albatross contract that you have to try
Yeah,
and
but that
find
that that
some
Doug
way.
that Dougie Hamilton contract was signed 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, you can't predict that it's going to be this much of a problem down the road. 5 years ago, Quinn Hughes was nowhere close to the trade block
No,
to reunite with his brothers. Like Luke Hughes wasn't even drafted 5 years ago.
no. And they're
So
still young players now, but the biggest issue is now in what shape is Hamilton going to be if they do trade him and then all of a sudden he has this massive turnaround, which I'm not saying he'd have, but the unpredictable can always happen and you don't expect it because you go get one guy and then get another, then all of a sudden the change of scenery happens and one guy's going to be better than the other, and then you're stuck with what you're stuck with because now you can't get rid of the guy once you there's no take. You said the toothpaste out of the tube. Now you've got to put up with that too because once Hamilton would be gone, he's somewhere else. He's got a better environment. Change of scenery has made him look better. Quinn Hughes is a good hockey player, I'm sure, but if he's not going to have that type of career, you just trade away a veteran guy who's probably going to get better in his time away.
well, there's also the other fact of his contract is as bad as he's been, he still has a good chunk of real dollars on his contract that he's owed. I'm doing the math real quick right now because next year he's owed 7.4 at the start of the new season. On July 1, you got to cut him a check for 7.4 million. Then his salary over the course of the regular season is another 8.4. And then in the final year of his deal is when it actually looks bearable for a team that may want to take him on. That's 21 million. He's got 5.25 as a salary in the last year. So he's got $21 million owed to him in the next 2 seasons in real dollars.
So
Who's
that's
trading for that right
that's
now?
essentially 10 and a half for a guy who's what? At the end of his 30s, at the end of his 20s going into his 30s, or is he in his mid 30s passing his prime?
He's 32 right now.
See, that's kind of the thing because after a certain period of time, if he's got like 8, 9, 10 years in the league and he's supposed to have blossomed once talent blossoms and everything, it's like when you get a thing of bananas at the store. You pick the best, but you think you're picking the best batch. But some of them, they start out green and then immediately they turn yellow and then the next day they get brown with spots on them. It's not who you pick that's the best. It doesn't matter because this whole thing with Hamilton now, he's owed an average of 10.5 million over the next 2 seasons, and he's going to be 33 and 34 years old, and Hughes is significantly younger. And I imagine 5 years ago when he was 27, they didn't think he was going to be the same player because I'm sure performance peaks and has peaks and valleys, but 10.5 million for a guy
No, but
who's
he can go. I mean, we've seen this before. Last year, we saw it with Seth Jones when he was with Chicago. His value was really far down. They made a trade with the Florida Panthers. They acquired Spencer Knight. They're now starting goaltender, and they sent him Seth Jones. Seth Jones has revitalized his career as a shutdown defenseman. He's made the Olympic roster now because of the resurgence that he's seen in Florida. They've still got him for I want to say 2 more seasons after this one, and then in addition to that, the Chicago Blackhawks have got their starting goaltender. They've got Spencer Knight, who arguably could have made the Olympic roster.
okay.
Honestly, I would have picked him for the Olympic roster over Jake Ottinger, to be fair.
So I came to cut both off, but that's gonna be it for this episode here of the 3000 Joey. I wanna show you a game right after this, and baseball game that is. And with that being said, that'll be it for this episode. Thank you very much to Chris and Joey for being on here for doing helping me doing most of the talking and all that good stuff. And also Chris here for the hockey knowledge he knows. Very much appreciated. That was money in for tonight. And with that being said, see you on tomorrow night for the next episode of the 3000 Hours. Take care, everybody. Peace out.